Jay White's back.
JRW live. Hit the aisle, stack the card, chase that rare one, play it smart. Bobby Joe right by his side. JRW live ride. JRW live, let's go. Toy hunting shows on the road, figure reviews, bold predictions too. WW week breaking it through. JRW live.
What's up, JRW? Today, the set review of AEW Forbidden Door 2026. They kicked off the show with a three-way tag match with the Young Bucks against Sky Team, Ubanko, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. One team was from New Japan and one team was from CMML. And this match was an insane match to start the show. They went absolutely crazy in this match. It was insane. Crazy flips, crazy super kicks. It was just insane. But at the end of the day, Young Bucks pick up the victory. There was crazy super kicks. The team from CMML teamed up with the Young Bucks against the team against New Japan, and they were hitting crazy super kicks, crazy flips. It was insane. One guy from CMML did a standing moonsault from the middle rope onto everybody. It was insane. But the Young Bucks pick up the victory at the end with EVP trigger, and then their pile driver move. But definitely an insane match to set the tone and start off Forbidden Door. And then talk about an insane match: Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. This match was an absolute banger, 30-minute match, I think. This was about then. It was the second match, insane second match of the show. These guys went out there and absolutely killed each other. Insane match, but at the end of the day, Kenny Omega hits that V trigger, and you already know. He goes for the one-winged angel, and if he hits that one-winged angel, nobody's kicking out because nobody's ever kicked out of the one-winged angel. 1, 2, 3, Kenny Omega defeats Zack Sabre Jr. This was their first time ever fighting in AEW, but damn, it was an absolute insane match. Probably one of my favorite matches of the night. Then Jon Moxley defended the Continental Classic title against Bandito. This wasn't my favorite match of the night, but they still went out there and put on a very physical match. Bandito got his mask half ripped open, bleeding out of it too. It was kind of crazy. Kind of reminded me of the El Gran Americano three-man match match in AAA. But at the end of the day, Jon Moxley got him in a sleeper hold and made him tap out or put him to sleep. I can't remember. This show was a 5-hour show. It was insane. But yeah, he puts him in a sleeper hold, and Jon Moxley retains the Continental Classic Championship. Great match, though. It was a good match, but it wasn't my favorite match. Then the IWGP Global Champion Shatu Umani took on Pac in a match, defending his title, and he successfully retained against Pac. This match was a very physical match. Pac actually dominated most of this match. But since he was defending the title, I definitely did not think Pac was going to win, but he dominated most of the match. At the end of the day, Shatu Umani, which is, if you are a big New Japan fan, you know Red Shoes, the referee, that is his son. I looked it up during the match. I was like, whoa, that's crazy, because they said something about he's a New Japan referee, son of a referee in New Japan. But yeah, this match was a very physical match, but at the end of the day, he retains the IWGP Global Championship. That's what I believe it's called, because it was not the normal IWGP Heavyweight Championship. But overall, pretty solid match. Then Tekla defended her women's AEW championship against the Starlight Kid, which is, I believe, a wrestler from Stardom, which is where a lot of the new up-and-coming women's stars from AEW and WWE came from. And this match wasn't half too bad. Definitely probably my least favorite match of the night, actually. But Tekla retains, obviously. That was just kind of like the given. But overall, not my favorite match of the night. But at the end of the day, Tekla retains, kind of obvious. Then Adam Copeland and Christian, or Edge and Christian, retained their tag titles against the Dogs. They defended them, and it looked like actually the Dogs were going to pick up the victory because they were cheating. The ref was knocked out. They got the little shillelagh thing, hit Edge and Christian in the head, and then the lights go out. I'm like, whoa, who is this? Is it Sting? Who is it? The lights went out. Who else does the lights go out besides Sting and Undertaker? And then at the stage, it showed Juice, the Guns. There was the Bang Bang Gang. And then it made the switchblade noise, and me and Bobby were watching. We jump out of our seat. We're like, oh my God, Jay White's back. He shows up in the middle of the ring, takes out the Dogs, and then Edge and Christian get up. They pin him. After Adam Copeland Edge hits a spear on one of the Dogs. 1, 2, 3, they retain the AEW tag titles. Jay White helps them hold the titles, and then walks out and celebrates with the Bang Bang Gang. So does this mean the Bang Bang Gang are coming for the tag titles? Because sign me up, that would be absolutely awesome. Because I absolutely love Juice, love Jay White, and also I love the Guns. I think it would be absolutely awesome seeing the Bang Bang Gang. That's so fascinating that the Bang Bang Gang go against Adam Copeland and Christian. Then it was time for the Death's Door Steel Cage match. And you might be wondering, what the hell is that? It's a new match, which is a normal steel cage, but it's not a normal steel cage. It is a giant circular steel cage that goes around the whole entire ring, kind of like an old school elimination chamber, but it's just a giant circle that goes around the whole entire outside of the ring. You can fight outside of the ring. It was absolute chaos. And it was the Don Callis family, which was Andrade, Kyle Fletcher, then MJF paid him off, so MJF, Okada, Kyle Knight. Not Kyle Knight, Kevin Knight, and then one other guy. I forgot. I'm drawing a blank on his name from the Don Callis family, big guy, versus Team Mark Briscoe, because Mark Briscoe's feuding with MJF. It was Takeshita, Kyle O'Reilly, Roger Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Darby Allin, and of course, Mark Briscoe. And this match was absolutely insane. There was so much freaking weapons and just insaneness. They used an old school Nintendo as a weapon in this match. They used thumbtacks. Freaking Kyle Fletcher got murdered with thumbtacks. It was just insane. And then Darby and Kevin Knight went to the top of the freaking cage. And there was a booby trap backpack because this whole team came out with freaking backpacks at the beginning. And it blew up in Kevin Knight's face. He fell off the top of the cage and went through 4 tables, absolutely murdering him. And it looked like MJF and Andrade had it in the bag in the middle of the ring. They were about to take on Mark Briscoe. Andrade was holding him, and then MJF went after him. And no, it was MJF. Yeah. Andrade was holding him, and he threw away Mark Briscoe and took out MJF. Hits him with a giant elbow, kind of like a running Judas effect type of thing, and lays out MJF. He's supposed to be on the same team. He rips off his shirt, and it says, "Fuck Don Callis, fuck MJF." So clearly Andrade, and then he starts making like the championship gesture on his stomach. So he's coming for MJF's world title, and he's done with Don Callis. Then Mark Briscoe hits a pile driver on MJF. 1, 2, 3. He pins the AEW World Champion, and Team Mark Briscoe picks up the victory and wins Death's Door. I think that was the name of it. It was a goofy name. I'm pretty sure it was Death's Door because the giant circular cage had 2 giant opening doors that got into it. But the team celebrates, and then Mark Briscoe backstage cuts a promo about how he's coming for that world title for MJF. And he wants him on this Wednesday on Dynamite. So Mark Briscoe is not waiting. He wants that title shot right away. So on Dynamite, it's going to be Mark Briscoe versus MJF for the world title. Then it was time for the finals of the Women's Owen Hart Tournament. And it was Mercedes Moné, the defending Owen Hart Tournament Women's Champion because she won it last year, versus Maya World. And this match wasn't half too bad. Honestly, it was actually a pretty solid match. And at the end of the day, Mercedes Moné is a 2-time Owen Hart champion or tournament champion. She's back-to-back. She has won now 2 years in a row. Absolutely insane. Honestly, there was a couple times I thought Maya was going to win. It was really close, but at the end of the day, Mercedes picks up the victory, and she storms out of there. She's all pissed off, but also celebrating, like all like sassy and how the normal CEO is. But she picks up the victory, and she's going after Tekla at All In for that women's world title. And last year she won, and she came up short. So there's no way this year she comes up short. There's just like no way. Like I don't see that happening at all. You got to have Mercedes Moné, the CEO, become the women's world champion. And then in the main event, absolute banger of a match. It went a little long for my opinion, but it was just an absolute banger. Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland in the finals of the Owen Hart Tournament. And these guys bled more than I've ever seen wrestlers ever bleed. There was puddles of blood all over the announce table, all over the steel steps, all over the ground outside of the ring, all over inside the ring. Swerve definitely was bleeding way too much than he wanted to. The man looked like somebody just freaking threw red paint all over his face. Ospreay was bleeding like crazy. And these guys kept on kicking out of finisher after finisher after finisher. And then at the end of the day, the Death Riders came out to the ring to cheer on Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay finally hits a super hidden blade right. It was like almost like a buckshot lyric hidden blade onto Swerve, and then hit like a pile driver with that spinning pile driver slash like DDT thing he does. It's crazy. 1, 2, 3. Will Ospreay is going to All In his hometown of London in Wembley Stadium, and he's gonna be fighting for the AEW World Championship. So he just had an it's very emotional moment, celebrating, holding up the freaking trophy, the title with the Death Riders. The Death Riders leave. Then he also has an awesome celebration with his wife, and then she leaves, and he stands tall on the stage holding up that title, and he's ready to go to All In Wembley Stadium. So there you have it, guys. That is the set review of AEW Forbidden Door 2026. This show was absolutely insane. I still think Double or Nothing was better. I gave Double or Nothing a 9 out of 10. Actually, no, I gave Double or Nothing a 9.5 out of 10. I'm going to give this show an 8.5 out of 10. I personally thought the women's world title match was a little weak. And then there's just a couple matches that were just not my favorite. I thought the steel cage match was super, super fun. I thought the main event was fantastic. Just went a little long, for my opinion. Cannot wait for Andrade versus MJF. That will be absolutely awesome. And I'm so happy to see Jay White back. But overall, Forbidden Door 2026, banger of a show. AEW is absolutely cooking in 2026. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell because we post every single day on this YouTube channel. And this is Jeremy Live, and I'll see you guys in the next one.